Hey, so I would like to understand some things about the external world. I think for me as a person, I cannot manifest or work to create my outer reality unless I am in tune with my inner reality. I'm not being weird, I'm just saying, like, I need to have a real structure in my own self to understand and to take on the outside world, and I cannot because they're keeping me tortured, for one. They're keeping me homeless. They give me a home, but it's not a home if you can't rest in your home and you're being attacked by the church group of your friends day in, day out, how ugly you are. I think I want to talk about how many different countries invaded our country, and there's been some statements about China abusing human rights. There's also been posters all over the Hibiscus Coast that the CCM are abusing humanity and not giving services for public service and social services. I wouldn't know that because I actually thought it was Japan doing this. They've claimed it's China. I also am very. I want to talk about being fat. I want to be serious about being fat. I mean, I know I'm a massive joke about being fat, and it's, although people can laugh and this and that, it's actually not my fault I'm fat. They've poisoned me, and I think they've lethally injected me with huge diseases out of spite and to have capital punishment. Now, capital punishment is state based violence paid by your governments to harm. Which government? I don't know. It's very confusing to me what's going on. I don't understand who Japan is. I don't understand who China is. And I don't understand the UK or America or, I don't understand who or why this is happening. I don't really understand. I understand there's an imperialist um, situation going on, which is building like a capitalist business basically, and that all my friends were bought into this to into stocks and also into leaving me behind if they pay them some money, but they've really damaged my reputation by saying my true colors. I'm not a dark twisted person. I just wanted a normal, relatively normal life, and it's actually really difficult for me because they have taken away the things that made me function and made me strong by keeping me in states of unfairness, long periods of solitude, long periods of bullying me out of workplaces, ostracizing me in social groups, and it turns out this is a mass gang stalking government watch list that I've been put on that I have no idea what it's about. I don't like it. Just, you start to, all the lines of reality just got obliterated as soon as they started to make people into tenor and into the Spice Girls and the Rural Housewives. It's like they changed everybody's identity overnight, and then they also started the buildings. I think first of all, I knew I got lost as a ghost in the machine because they'd built a a capitalist like structure about 3 years ago, and I think I was getting a lot of surveillance while I've had immunity issues and also thyroid. This actually lowers your whole health. Like, it lowers your mood and it actually makes you really sluggish. It's really hard to, and that's the thing, is that dehumanizing thing is that I've got all these people watching me, even people from my past, and they've really dehumanized me. They threw me into some public arena that I am very ugly or I'm unrecognizable, I'm not hot anymore, and all this kind of stuff. And I just feel really tortured and exploited because I feel like I've paid so much for this company to be established. All of them. Like the first company in Christchurch, they went in, they've used a toilet video and it started off Epstein-y. Like there's some sort of sex club down there. And have you watched the movie Red Sparrow? They're little girls, they're really sexy girls. Yeah, so a lot of men were getting a lot of sex down there, but they don't know that they're actually like little spies of some sort of governmental group. I don't know if it was Germany. I read that's what happened in one of the world wars. They actually, how they did it was send in a lot of spies like this pretending and acting like they were friends. So if you've had a group of girls acting like they're friends in a community, they're spies. And it was really a fascist movement. And then they started this toilet video. So it started this massive. You understand what in Hitler days, he sent a lot of propaganda out, and he started. So you think about how he just ended up killing 6 million Jews, and that's what happened. He started off with some small lies about me, and then it eventuated, and I had no rights because I remember fighting quite clearly about 3 years ago about I wanted to get to the root cause of the lies about me. Because they were causing so many lies. They were actually causing me problems in society. And I was trying to do like a defamation of character or trying to get other people to stop them bullying me. And nobody would help me. I was abandoned again and again and again, constantly abandoned. And I knew what I was saying made sense, but the group were barricading me that I didn't. And then it turned into a nightmare because any of my exes, I was calling for help because I started to get scared and I wanted a job. They started to put them in a massive group of another group that was coming against me. And then I had all these men coming against me that I was a prostitute, I believe. And so it was like burying me under more and more scandals, more and more problematic publicity, and a lot of torturing about my appearance. So let's talk about my appearance and being fat and being ugly and all these kind of things. I want to say I really used to kind of really take care of my whole life. Like I really put a lot of time into my health and my energy and my self-care and trying to be a good person to other people. I really put a lot of time into this, and that's why it's quite devastating that somebody has actually hired a killer to inject me with things like hepatitis and maybe HIV, which I'm trying really hard to get some information because it's all coming back that I don't have HIV, that I'm negative. I really want help to find out the truth if I am. I don't know, like I'm getting those HIV home tests and it all says I'm not HIV positive, but I'm asking, I don't know, like trust me when I say I've actually witnessed quite a lot in the last 7 years of how far they go to cover up things. So if you can like get hold of any at-home HIV tests, because I'd love to do like a load of tests, because I feel like they give me bogus tests, so I don't know the truth. And I am also been going to all these hospitals and it comes back nothing apart from some traces of chemicals that have been mentioned through the hospital twice, and also in my hair follicle testing, and mercury, arsenic, and all these other torturous chemicals. And I just feel like I'm actually being like tortured like horrifically with chemicals to ruin my face. And then they've also stolen a massive thing that I worked for. Like they've really listened to my life story and stolen that time of my life, and like stolen me getting the benefit from what I worked for. And what I sort of found in this country was I had really changed my perception of life, and that we need outdoors and we need time out physically exercising to balance our health every day, like balance our mind. And because this really helps you process lots of pain, like, and the sun also, the the sun like creates a healing energy against our skin with the vitamin D and all the other parts of our body, like our endocrine system, all need the sun, and it produces your melatonin at the end of the night too. I think it just it's hard for me to talk too because I've had lead poisoning right up my nose, and they've really given me they're really giving me hell. They're really giving me hell on earth. Like, I didn't do anything. I did everything to live in a beautiful reality. And I created this reality, and I've just had all these barbarians after me, injecting me with chemicals, stopping my peaceful home so I could have a cup of tea and draw all day, and then go and help people, like, socially, mentally, emotionally. I've created this peaceful life which they've invaded. And I've also created a life where I had self-esteem and values, which they all took away from me. And it's just a nightmare coming back to find out that I was prostituted and tortured as a Cambodian hooker. And they said that I've read a few reports, and I think the thing is they've stolen my phone. So I've taken photos of a lot of these things, and a lot of it's been lost. So the problem is what happened is I went through this genocide persecution. I didn't know it was a genocide. I just thought I was in a crime and a civil war. So I ended up going to Sweden, and in that time, that's when everything's escalated into murder. So before that, I was a really intelligent woman that really went after her goals, and I had chastity. I wouldn't have sex with people. Like, and I was just really fighting for my right to go to work because I wanted to have my face made. And in the meantime, I was going through a cultural genocide because they were making people into like tenor stars and other kind of stars, like Beverly Hill Housewives, things like this. They were making everybody into celebrities. And meanwhile, my resources were completely cut off. My life support was cut off. Equity was cut off. So I was left for, like, in silence while I was trying to do this, like, getting hold of support. And I had my mum and one friend, and it turns out that friend, it just ends up being one of the governmental helpers to help this girl become a celebrity. So it ended up she was an enemy in my own home, torturing me, and I ended up being poisoned in that house. And I don't know if it was her. I feel like it was her, but there is one thing that happened to me in that house that it could have been somebody else breaking in, because there was a whole lot of spit outside my house one morning. About 3 in the morning, I went outside trying to find out who was at home, because Kylie parks her car out the front, and I was like, it's really hard for me to think right now because of that poisoning up into my head. I went outside and she wasn't there, the car wasn't there, but there was a whole lot of hoik. And there was no, that meant somebody has been sniffing around the house. And it really scared me. And I'd also been starting to get really tired and knocked out all the time. I noticed the coffee had a really weird, strong, pungent taste that was not coffee-like. It was kind of had a weird, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like chalky, but kind of a little bit of a chemical taste. And I ended up sleeping quite a lot, and I found out that when I was putting water on the bench, within a week, the water was growing heavy mold, which shows somebody was blowing in a lot of mold into the counter. So I was getting sick. So at that stage, I don't know what happened, but years ago, they told me while I was healing, the first time my face got disfigured, 2019 or 18, and I smelled LPG, and they found all these chemicals in my body on hair follicle tests and a mercury strand, and I think I read that they'd poured a whole lot of meth down the pipeline. I really went a little bit, I was really out of it. Like I was really, and I remember feeling really defensive, like all these people were trying to get me. Um, but I knew, like I was alone, but I just thought they were all like on the roof, like putting in cameras and things like this. And I was really getting really stressed out and angry, and like because it was invading my privacy. And my family came and got me, and they basically said I was being terrorized. They knew I was being terrorized, and they paid for this private investigator, and somebody paid a lot of money to bury like anything that happened with this security guard, because he was going to lose his job if he spoke out. So it must be some sort of guy organization. They shut down everything. But from what I heard, there was a rape video that went out, and all this, a toilet video, and they all said that I had to move forward and forget about everything that burnt down in New Zealand. So I moved on. This is where I think I'm due a lot of compensation, because they're buried for 30 years with all these lawyers, but I think it's corruption, because somebody should be allowed to unseal all the torture that went on, because in the time that I was like abused, they really went around the government telling everybody that I was a fraud about my disability and that I was a dirty animal. And then to find out, I'm campaigning against the human rights to let me go to work. So he's just went on this massive campaign that I'm not professional, these girls are professional, and really tortured me over it. And it's so, they're really sabotaging and diminishing the things that I've really worked for in my life. I really worked to get a job, so she's making it impossible to get a job. She's using billions of people against me. It's like she's got all these people in Australia in a massive group against me, and then all these people in New Zealand against me. And no matter what I try and achieve, she finds out through my phone, through illegal hacking, and then she takes it for her and the girls and makes all these girls absolutely beautiful and pristine, and she won't let me change my life. Like, she's actually worked to make a massive establishment so I can't work anymore, and she's really had everybody bully me. And it's like none of your employers have video cameras on them every day. None of your employers get raped by those 21 men that you've got in a massive group. Why do I? It's like there's a lot of different treatment here, and there's a lot of like trying to make me take on a soul of being a black woman. And it's like, I'm not black, I'm Irish and Chinese. Are Chinese people black? Well, I'm not a nigger, I'm not a gangster, and I'm not white trash. I'm actually Chinese and Irish. So I don't know what this is about, but I feel like there really needs to be some information and investigation on this Epstein and why this mother really came at me so hard, because I actually tried to get a protection order on her, because they were telling me the bees, every house I went to, 2021 and 2023, that I was a really ugly old head, and it was torture. And they were putting me next to the blondies, saying that she's so beautiful. So he made her face over and her body, these old ladies, and made them really young and made me really old. And he keeps doing it to me. It's happened 3 times now. And I've had my face whacked like 4 times. So I've had chemical violence probably 3 times. And I've had my face smashed in a couple of times. These times, there were 2 times I was really up to it, so I didn't know. So I've endured so much violence and gender violence, and also really unfair treatment of really establishing these establishments where you've treated me like a prostitute in church, you've treated me like a prostitute in the government, you've treated me like a prostitute on these YouPorn sites. And I'm telling you, I'm a really traditional person and really shy, and there's a lot of men that tried it on with me and I didn't do anything, and a lot of guys that really tried to make me fall in love with them, and I was really disciplined. I didn't get into it with them, and some of them actually made me almost fall in love with them, and we didn't do anything together. Like, that's how good they were at talking. And I just want to understand, it's the reason I'm talking is, I'm not doing this for attention. What it is it's kind of like you're starving somebody for doing something right in their life, and then you've built these establishments so that I can't actually work anymore. And then you're keeping me degraded as a dog and humiliating me in front of all of the culture and all of these humans that I've had experiences with, so you've severed all my ties. And you've made me endure this horrific treatment for such a long period of time with no relief, no justice, and it's horrific cruelty. Like the cruelty of Japan all over around about 2022, them going on about how ugly I was and just not treating me with any kindness or respect. I was hounded all over this country and erased from Auckland about discipline, but I was actually on survival. I was trying to find a job, I was trying to find support, and I couldn't. And I think my diary as far back as 2022 is saying I'm not getting the support I need. And I wasn't, and everything respectful I've done in a career was erased, and they've created all these establishments with huge disrespect, and she's actually opened niche businesses in every market that is to do with me. So my whole life was about healthcare. My whole life was about human connection and caring and sharing and looking after people. So they've made a massive business of childcare and nourishing other women. And they've also taken away, my psychology, like the counselling wisdoms that I've learned, and tried to kind of frame it that I've got no self-esteem. But you can't have self-esteem when you're actually creating anti-Semitism, which is a crime. Also, I got tortured with cruel and inhumane punishments that I'm the odd girlfriend when my face was ruined. She didn't have any mercy against me, and then there's no mercy at all. And the other crime that this government has done is every time I'm trying to talk to anybody, they're not giving me my phone calls or my mail. Isn't it my right to talk to people? They've just kind of got this entitlement, like that I don't deserve to talk to anybody, and that if I want anything in life, they make everybody really hot and famous, and they won't let me be beautiful. Like, she won't let me have the rights to the credit for any of my work that I've done. She's decided that her and her family are taking the credit, the honour, and they sit in these luxury apartments like they did all this work, but really they didn't. They kept me on these invisible chains of poverty while they made me do all the work, and it's really horrible. Like, they also, just weird things that I found out later on, like when I was doing all these, when I was really going through a healing journey, they've really copied all of this. And I'm not going to get into it, but I really was around hiking and photography, taking photography of wildlife and a lot of the landscape and things like this. And then because I didn't have any rights to talk to any friends or go out, and I was always constantly being trapped out of work, I started painting and drawing again, and they've taken the fun out of that. They all went on a massive thing to be the greatest artists of all, and they're trying to make out that I'm a prostitute pornography star and I'm a dull bludger, and it's ignorance. I wanted to work. Like that 3 years ago, I've written a blog, Help Me Go to Work. And I also was writing Facebook posts, help me. They're calling me a dumb, lazy loser. And I said, I've worn a lot of hats in my life. And I've tried to be a multitasker and learn as I go. And I've just done different things in my life, and they won't let me feel confident. Like, I'm being bullied horrifically all the time by barbarian black women, and by these these girls that think that they're like real proper innocent, and like whacking me out by using how like skinny and polished and like how they are for the celebrity world. And it's real dehumanizing. It's fascism. I need you to understand it is fascism. It wouldn't be fascism if she just had a makeover and had not gone after any friends that I knew or like promoted herself. Do you understand? I've got no I've got no issues with these girls making themselves look beautiful. I think women should be allowed to do this. I think so. I think men should be allowed to do this. I think we get one life. We should feel good. And that's what I don't like, is that I've got this massive spirit that feels like we should enjoy our life. We should experience life. We should not hurt each other, like on purpose. I mean, of course we hurt each other like unconsciously, but I think like there are definitely throughout this, I know that these people want to hurt people. And that's a real eye opener for me because I've never seen this in my life. I've never really been around people that sadistically want to hurt people. I've seen goodness in people. I've seen people want to help people. I've seen people want to take away other people's pain. I've seen people want to support each other. I haven't seen, like, I've only started to realize this really dark, horrible side since I came to Auckland, and it's quite an irony because I have to leave this city, but it's weird because I'm actually quite connected to the city here, or to the landmass here. It's my grandma's buried here, my uncle's house, which was my grandparents' house, is here. And on K Road is where my grandparents had their Chinese restaurant, and I grew up here. Look, I spent all my childhood down at K Road and down in Ponsonby, and was always around upmarket designing people all around. So I've never been around trash. I've just, and I also want you to wake up. You don't understand this is a humanitarian problem, because what happened was I got persecuted and I was trying to get to work the whole time, and I've got proof about that. And I was being discriminated left, right, and centre. And then I got really sick because of all the bullying and because of my immunity. I lost my fight because there was no one to help me. That's how they're doing it. They're starving me and punishing me. And then I got some I think they've erased it, but I got some text like, "You're in too deep now. We're just going to keep raping you to teach you a lesson," or something. And I just was like, it's scary because they've actually been knocking me out. So I've heard that they raped me at that Nova Festival in a field, and I was left there cold while they raped me. And I was reading another report that they'd put me in some dungeon and they'd raped me, and then they'd cut open my downstairs area. And then I'm pretty sure the police came into my colonoscopy and made a chat room about my downstairs area, because they're really trying to make a society value that I am not good enough for my ex-partner. And I'm just saying, I'm a survivor of violence. Like, when I was with him, I looked about 15 years younger, and I looked more healthier than him. So, like, for me to look not healthy is somebody is really sadistically trying to make me look less than him. I don't know. It's like they've cut my life short. They've cut my beauty short. I've had my career being stopped, and then I tried to be proactive, and all I've had from China is all this abuse. Like, they put me all over TikTok because I was crying out for help. I said, I really want a job. So I started promoting myself, being positive. And China always turns it into a bullying match. So they just trap me throughout the whole country. So they're abusing my rights to social media. They went all through the country and bullied me that I'm too fucking old for this TikTok and I need to fucking grow up and be mature now. And it's like, well, actually, let's flip the script on China. Why are they attacking a woman that wants to go to a job? And there are people that actually like people with charisma that put their neck out there. You don't have to be mature. Like, I could have got a job at a dairy or anything. I just wanted a job. I didn't care at that stage. I just wanted to recover my money. I wanted to make a recovery. That's the point of that TikTok. And he just went and bullied and put me down and had a whole massive group destroying me over this. And it's like, but I shouldn't. The thing is if he wasn't causing a massive war in this country, I wouldn't be asking for help to get a job, because I've never had problems getting a job. I'm telling you, I've had jobs where I've had absolutely no experience. I've just walked in and said, I'll work for free. Give me a chance. And they give me a job. So, and this is my own finding. Like, this is, like, my mum's always taught me to be proactive about things, and I have. But all I've had from the police and this group of people is really sabotaging any efforts I do. So those police keep stealing off me, but they're really bullying me. So let's ask why these police are such a sadistic bunch of hypocrites. Because the whole time that I've been doing spirituality and they're learning spiritual lessons from me, which they like to repeat with their fake face and their fake leaders in the public. So they all like learn everything off me, but they put me in public and destroy me and bully me. And that's a real disrespect. And it's like, don't use me to learn anything off me anymore. That's the end of that, because you've been bullying me and treating me like a piece of shit in front of social groups, and it's really humiliating and cruel. So stop being a hypocrite and start owning up to your share of the violence and the horrific shame that you're putting on people that don't deserve it. There's other Asian, I think it's Japan, that's really invaded my family and really stopped any milestones like birthdays and all these other things, which is connected to Peppermint, a movie about a woman that got killed by the mafia, which I think they may have gotten some part of my life story and had some sort of inspiration through some of the stuff I went through that civil war. And you can't say it's not a civil war, because there was a mayor basically talking about how I'm wasting taxpayer dollars, how, I'm a Jew because I wear this woolen hat, and how I've got a fat ass and I'm trying to destroy the system each day. So they really abused me in the public like this, and that's a genocide, because they're really blaming somebody innocent for the country's problems of finances. But really, let's put it back on the government and flip that and say, well, you're actually attacking a disabled chick that got up by herself with really limiting conditions, where people loved my mum when she got to the money side. But what about all that time that we were in poverty as a family and just struggling to make ends meet and eating sausages and luncheon sausage, really crappy meat, really crappy food all the time just to get by? Nobody was there for us then. So why should my mum's reward and my reward go to the government? Because the government's the one that's stolen all of this country and all of the social table. So why should I pay for that? Why should me and my ancestors pay for that? Because you favour your daughter. Like, you've actually abused me with all the police over this. And I'm just saying it's not a fair situation. It's really difficult to speak about these things too, because it's hard to really understand a full picture of what's going on, because I'm in fragments, because I'm in the middle of it. It's kind of like, you can't look at the big picture, and also you cannot take the high ground when you're dealing with rapists, when you're dealing with violent people, when you're dealing with drug addicts. You cannot take the high road. My life was about the high road though before, and I think they're trying to say like I'm not in reality because I was always around rich people and I was always in a space of beauty and harmony, but my mum had already done all the vicious work with all these people and gotten me into a place where I could just focus on my education and my future. So I wasn't fighting all these people in workplaces. I wanted to have my work to do with counselling, and they just stopped that. They don't want me to be a higher educated woman. They wanted me trashed. And for the years that I spent like really researching all this nutritional health and all this healing foods, and the medicinal properties of our food and the medicinal property of supplements and the things that they can do. They've really, like, somebody sold me, I think Barbie wrote an article or something, or something like this. People have left little, like, things so that I can understand what's going on, because I kind of got thrown back here without, I was blindfolded. I just got put into a Mexican coop, which is where the military have made all these coops, whereas they'll go to all the shops and tell them that I'm a criminal or something like this. So I'm stuck in a mind control prison. I don't know how else to kind of explain it, but it's kind of like, so if authority is telling all this negativity about me to the people, then I'm treated like some sort of criminal in this country, and I'm really innocent. But so there you go. So China's basically controlling all the media type thing, and so is the UK. And then I've got the military, and I don't know what, I think that's Russia. And so they're controlling my liberty and my steps and my freedoms, and also controlling how other people treat me, in a sense. And Mexico is part of that too. So it's very difficult for me to understand. And Mexico is part of some sort of Australian company, I think, a massive company, and maybe Harley, America, Mexico. I don't have the resources to investigate, but they have a cartel, and I am being branded as the ugly old ex, I think, and treated with femicide. So they just did this barbaric thing, but it doesn't make sense, because Mexico and India joined forces for that femicide, and this is a politically motivated killing of a female because of discrimination or political stance, or just hatred because of who I stand for. And I think it's because I'm a light worker, and because I was a light worker, they've taken out all the beauty of my skin and my eyes, because I never had an ugly old face like this. I had a really young face and a really refined nose, and she really wanted me to feel different than my family. But I think even in this light, you can kind of see that I have similar, like, me and my sisters kind of had always something similar. I think I just had a bigger nose than them, and freckles. But we still, emotionally, we're pretty in tune, me and my family. And my mum, my mum's done all right for, like, a single mum that, like, went through hell, and she's a psycho at times, and really had no education behind her. She did pretty good as a mum, I think. I think she did pretty good, because Marina was up every day, blow drying her hair, doing her, like, fringe every day, and trying to, she was always trying to be independent and finding her way in work. I mean, that's, my mum's been doing that for all of us. So it's kind of like, I mean, you can just look at her as just some lady with, like, a weird body that's been ruined through her gallbladder, and that she's just had these businesses and stuff like that. But as she had to put time and energy into us too. It's kind of, I think she did all right. And I'm saying that because I went through a massive stage of really not liking the way she brought us up. I really did. I really was angry that I didn't have a traditional upbringing. Like, I wanted a father, and I wanted a table where we were all sitting all the time, and I wanted, I was telling her I wanted structure. But she gave me the freedom to create my own reality and my own happiness, and I was happy in this regime. I've been really hated throughout, and I want you to wake up. Is that, here's the timeline really quickly so you understand. 2021, I was in Australia healing because they'd blown up all of this country and made out I was a liar about my disability, and I wasn't. Like, I was struggling in life. Like, I had a real anxiety issue, and I had real problems with people, at work, like wanting to just real nitpick at absolutely everything, and it's still happening. She's managed to do this worldwide nitpicking work thing, and it's so I've just, I don't need, that's why I ended up doing these service jobs to help people, and I never had the problem again. I didn't have this nitpicking, micromanaging problem because I was just there to help somebody. And nobody complained about me ever again. And now I've just had all these problems with authority coming to my workplaces, destroying me, getting my money. And it's been going on 7 years. So I'm saying, if they're such the innocent ones, why was I always struggling? And I'm just saying, I was a battered woman and I was still getting up trying to go to work because I had motivation to change my face. And instead, they keep destroying my health and my future and everything. So that's why I'm suicidal. I'm not suicidal because I'm mental. I've lost hope and faith in the situation, and I don't know what else to say about it because China came in and started all that bullying online, and then there was a lot of discrimination, which was a genocide. If I'm never allowed to go to work all these years and I'm never allowed to have housing, the housings come, I think the government keeps putting me into housing now, because I think they've got some sort of responsibility to protect me because of this illegal adoption that went on. They did all this paperwork to adopt me, and I'm saying, I need to say this in a timeline so you understand it. So 2018, my face started changing, and I didn't, I went to my sister's wedding. I was telling my mum, my face has all changed. I think I've been really ruined and run down from, breaking up from this guy. And she was like, oh, you have to come to this wedding. So I had to go to this wedding, and I just wore glasses the whole time. I had pink eyes. Then I had pancreas problems, like trying to go to the bathroom, and I realized that that's a big sign of heavy metal poisoning. So I was being poisoned with heavy metals that were ruining my face, and I was smelling LPG. My dog died of stomach cancer, and I also had a lot of problems. He was really young and healthy. He ran all the time, so I don't think he was ready to die. I think we both got poisoned in that room. And I went overseas and got my life back, I was in horrific pain emotionally because of how I looked physically, and they put me through hell, and I was getting anonymous texts, you're going to be ugly for the rest of your life. And it was some sort of cult-like group, I think, and I think it might have been a cult because I did this app, and it said, it traced where your texts were coming from, because I was thinking, how could they find me here? So I did this, I don't know how I found this app, because I can't find it anymore, but it was downloading and it was tracing where my texts were coming from, and it was coming from some sort of police signal, and it was really weird. And I was like, that's weird. And then Kylie said the reason that I can't do anything is because we got silence, basically. And anyway, life moved on, and I forgot about it eventually. Eventually, my life went into, well, how can I make my life better now that all this problems happened? I'm obviously not going to get justice from my face ruined. I'm not going to get any information. They got silence. We tried to investigate who did it. Mum and all that found out there's too much power on their side. So we moved on with our lives. Mum wasted a lot of money helping me out. The government ruined my reputation. And did anyone pick up the pieces? Nobody picked up the pieces. My mum did again. So again, my mum's paying for this girl's other family to live a life of luxury and fame and everything on her back. Because it's actually, I was working, and it was my promise to come into my own honour and my education and my right to have a good boyfriend and all these friends, and this group of people in power just took it off me and left me for dead. My mum paid out of her retirement, or whatever it's called, to pay for me during that COVID lockdown of all my face problems, everything. And it was, it wasn't a nice environment. Obviously she's got all the stress from what all these negative things were said about me, and she's trying to protect me. Then she's kind of probably resenting me about the money that's being wasted on me, and then probably sick of looking after somebody. And then I tried to get back on my feet, and all I had was problems from like these Japanese, like, pushing me out, and this Australian group of boys or whatever they are. I don't know if it's Australian or they'll marry. And they keep going around saying I'm a weathered face and bending over. I need you to wake up, because that's 2022, 21. So I had my COVID injection and I went back to New Zealand as I wanted to go to work. And every time I went to work, these guys were stopping me going to work all over Australia, and they were saying that I'm the ugly divine feminine all over there, and they were putting these fashion models in this fashion store up, like promoting that I was the ugly divine feminine. And the guys next to me had built a massive building right next to my house called Divine Joinery. So at that stage I was thinking, are they joining my life with that girl? Because I was thinking they're really following my house. But I couldn't prove anything. And so I came back home to find a job, and every avenue I went, I was abused by these guys saying, here's a message from the bees, you're ugly dog head. And I was being really abused, and I wanted to get a protection order, and nobody would help me. They said I got to go to the court and fill out this form. I tried to fill out this form. They said I needed all this evidence. And I didn't know how to get evidence on it. I didn't know how to prove it. Then my sister said, you've got to start filming things. So I started filming things, and now people don't believe my films. So I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not only that, so in that time, you think about it, that time I'm trying to find a house and a home. My life is still in structure, and I still had support systems. I understand all the resources in New Zealand to support people, like, and get them back on their feet, and I couldn't get anywhere to help me. And the whole time I couldn't get anywhere to help, they were having these theatrics with my old friends in this massive group, bullying me that my life's turned to shit because I left my ex-boyfriend, and I've left a really good guy, and now he's into the sunset with a really beautiful girl, and I deserve all this shit. And then they put me in court cases that I just pretended he was an asshole and all this kind of stuff. And it was like, I don't know why they did any of that to me. Like, I was put under all the scrutiny. And then, so I left the country because I felt really abused and unwanted. Like, I felt like there was way more, and I'm not going to get into it. I want to just really get to the point of the timeline. So that was around about 2022, and they told me this was Poppy's War, and that I was being pushed out of the country. And they won't let me talk to absolutely anyone I've known. Like, I've got all these cousins and family down in Christchurch. Can't get hold of any of them because they all got brainwashed on this Dolbledger blimp that doesn't want to do anything all day. And it's not fair. You can't grow, like, you can't, if you're growing a lettuce, it needs sun, it needs light, it needs rain, it needs good soil conditions, it needs all these different things to grow. And that's the same as me. It's like my face got ruined. I've already succeeded in life, but why I can't succeed? What's in my way? What's in my way is that this Chinese guy's always on my goddamn phone, and he won't let me go, and he's abusing my rights to my privacy. And this is New Zealand. What else is in my way is that every time I go to work, I've had these girls that seem to act like they're privileged and above the law, and have been blocking me going to work by saying I've had all these roots with all these men all over the country. So they're damaging my reputation. There you go, that's lawlessness. So I don't get any rights in that situation. Then, this is my case against all you people. And in that time, Japan was arresting any friends I made, from what I could see, and basically making them hate me and keeping me in isolation, saying I have to be alone for 10 years. And I was just so, like, why am I getting my friends taken off me? They were friends that were not attractive to the rest of the world. It was like a little Taiwanese old man that just goes to church and had no friends. It was an old man that has a house and sits at home all day with no friends. It was another old man that has no money and just does gardening, and he does have friends, but he doesn't go out that often because he's old. And it was like they took these people away from me, and they also had already killed all my other friends. Then they killed Charity, making out I'm a moocher to the country, and I had ACC about my boobs being abused and filmed illegally, and they didn't care. Like it's lawless, like, because they're still running around in massive groups sending naked videos and videos of my boobs, and then he's just gone on with porn that I'm a pog and destroyed my life and not let me talk to anyone or have justice. Then I'm also, this is all just recently. This is like last year, this video of sex, and also the year before, October 7, 2023, I think, they had a festival of a van with footage making me look like I've got a dick and then pushing out my clitoris or something so it looked like I had a penis and all this kind of stuff, and having these men do all this prostitution stuff to me. Then there's years I've not been allowed to have any community. Like, this is a real act of violence. They can't control every aspect of life. Like, they're controlling the communities, they're controlling business and career, they're controlling my face. So I fought all that time, and then in that time they just built these massive empires and banned me and ostracized me and bought the people and basically kept me subjugated as a dog. So that's where the injustice is. It's so, well, everybody got invited to be in the business and have fun and really love this girl and only treat these girls with respect. They were teaching the world to disrespect me. They were abusing me every time I made leadership decisions and tried to move forward. They abused me publicly, like with a lot of violence. But if any of those girls are like hacking me and they find out what I'm doing and how to mimic it, the Chinese are like, wow, you're a superstar. Let's put a crown on you. Let's put a crown on you. Oh, you're an Indian beauty. You're a superstar. So they're like really like treating us so differently. So I'm the one doing all the labouring and work, and they just walk around being pretty, putting on crowns, acting like they came out with this great work, even to do with my art, to do with the sun and God is nature. It's just a bunch of pretty girls that hack and take away things that I'm working for. And then a massive bunch of guys creating a climate of hate to keep me locked out of the gates of society. Like, I actually witnessed it. They were emailing all on the work and income as soon as I walked in that I was a real dick and a real asshole and don't trust me and don't trust this. But the other thing that she did take from me was my honour. Because if you think about it, if I've worked for 15 years to change my life and to be a pure woman and to have a great husband and a house and all these things, and I was in the middle of changing my life and I was telling my mum about my dream and how I was, building my life to get a house so I could get her a granny flat. And I said, because I've always lived in these like tiny homes and I wanted to buy a tiny home for her. And I said, and I tried to get into communication to get back on my feet and messy, and they've come up with a million reasons why I'm not good enough for anything. And I felt like I've always been good enough for everything. They've flipped my life around like into negativity. It's not easy when I'm oppressed like this. And on top of that, I've had all the Germany group like taking over all the cities, like denying me the right to be part of society with anti-Semitism. And then I've had the USA prostitute me and just poached me from my family, and I've ended up being prostituted, and apparently a group of police or something saved me. Then is I think the military just killed me off and built all these trees and started doing all these radio like announcements, which is a genocide. I'm just saying that because people are ignorant. Like, you think that I'm just sitting here. I'm not. You have to realize I don't have the right to social media or to talk to anybody. They've taken over all the associations I know, all the networks, all the businesses I've built, and they've cut me out of every association saying don't hang around her. She's a loser. But all that happened was I was getting immunity problems and negativity, and it was making me sad. And they've also hacked my accounts and stealing my money. And the thing that I can't get over is if I find that I've got HIV and all these diseases, this is really sadistic because my life was about health. Like I was really nutritionally focused on my health and my health care and like looking after myself and trying to be a balanced person. I was changing, and the more you look after these your inner world, the better and the better you are on the outside. As in you're more stronger and you've got more, the more you can like master yourself, your health, your regular routine, the more you can master your career. So that's what I was doing, but I can't because they just keep me sick. And they're also snaking me out of everything by scams that I'm having a psychosis.